Good morning, New York Mets Nation, and welcome to the Bat Cave. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and it is Hump Day. All right, Hump Day, baby. You know what day it is. We love Wednesdays. I'd like to apologize first. I haven't been on the last couple of weeks. I've been sick. I was sick about 2 weeks ago. Uh, the chills, all that good stuff. The wintertime stuff they usually get that goes around. And after I got over that, it was only a couple days. I was feeling pretty good. I was going to go on live at the end of the week a couple weeks ago, and then I got a sore throat, and I just could not talk. I couldn't talk. Just constant coughing. I had no voice, and that went on for quite a while. And I'm still actually dealing with the side effects from that. Every once in a while, I get a little bit of a frog in my throat there, or whatever you want to call it. I wonder where that term came from, that expression. But anyway, like that. So I'm still pushing through it, and every once in a while I'll have a coughing fit and a little bit of a tickle, and I just it's been a struggle. I did a podcast yesterday, Silver and Black Layer Raiders, and it was a disaster. It was a disaster. Just coughing, the scratchy throat, and I'm just thinking about it, and I couldn't remember what the hell I wanted to say half the time. It was a disaster. It really was. It was a shitty show. And you know what? Even Babe Ruth didn't get on 100% of the time either. So it is what it is. But here we are today. Hopefully today is a little bit better than it was yesterday. So we're going to go ahead and push through and kick this shindig off with a little bit of injury talk here. We have the Mets' first big injury to happen so far this season. There's going to be injuries. It's a long season. It's going to happen. You hope that everything is short term or minor, but you can't expect to go throughout a whole season without having an injury, especially to your pitching staff, whether it's bullpen or starting rotation. It just sucks ass that it happens to be this early, and to be honest with you, fairly significant. It's not like it's a sore, you know, arm or like a blister on a finger or something like that. Frankie Montas is going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. We just signed him in this past offseason, 2-year, $34 million contract. Um, kind of hoping that the Mets could get him to the point where the Yankees thought to what the Yankees thought he was going to be. The Yankees thought he was going to be their next big thing, pitching in the pitching rotation. Never worked out for him. Never happened for him. And whether that's because injuries or just really didn't live up to the hype, you could probably point to both. But when joining with the Yankees, he went through a couple injuries and back-to-back seasons with shoulder issues, 2022, 2023, and going through arthroscopic surgery on his pitching shoulder. So it's something that's not easy to come back from. And he's been very, very injury prone, throughout his career, dating back 2020 COVID season. He missed time because of COVID, but also had a back issue. 2022 hand issue. 2022 again shoulder. 2023 shoulder. That's where he had the arthroscopic surgery with the Yankees. And 2024 he spent time with the Reds and the Brewers, and he had some forearm tightness with the Reds, I believe it was. And usually when you hear forearm tightness, usually the next time he goes out there, a pitcher goes out there, it's a short appearance, and the next update you hear is Tommy John. But that didn't happen, so hopefully it's nothing like that. But he has a high grade lat strain, so his lat is strained to the highest grade, very high grade. He got an A plus on his lat strain. He's going to get a PRP injection to kind of relieve that a little bit, but it's going to be 6 to 8 weeks. And there's no spring training for him. So that tells you 6 to 8 weeks. You figure, let's just look at it, 8 weeks. That takes you to probably the end of April. Early May, somewhere around there, 8 weeks. I'm guessing probably the end of April. You say you have March, 4 weeks. Say 3 weeks into into April, last week of February here coming up. So you figure 8 weeks, it takes you close to the end of April. And then he has to get ramped up. He has to, stretch that throwing arm out and, go through the process like it's a spring training. So you're looking at another, month and a half. So I wouldn't expect to see Frankie Montas, till sometime in June. To be honest with you, I wouldn't expect to see him in May at all. I would expect June, and that's a bummer. That's a real bummer. But another way to look at it is, that opens a door for some of these other guys. Paul Blackburn, it appears that he might be starting the season off on the IL, but short term, I think like a 10-day IL or something like that. He shouldn't be out too long. From what I heard, anyway, I could be way off on that. I'm not really sure. Griffin Canning, another offseason signing, and I mentioned on here before, the Griffin Canning for me is like the Adrian Hauser of last season, where it's just I'm not expecting a whole lot, and whatever you do get out of him that's positive is going to be great. And who knows? Maybe he gets down there, down to Port St. Louis, Lucie, and you know, uh, all different pitching coaches and whatnot. There, get into the Mets pitching lab, the Mets pitching lab, and get it figured out. Maybe he could be a totally different pitcher. You don't know. Change of scenery kind of thing, and uh, different philosophies. You don't know what could happen. Tyler McGill, there's another chance for Tyler McGill. It seems like every time he makes the rotation, it's due to somebody else's injury. So Tyler McGill is the ultimate. Excuse me, is the ultimate uh, next man up kind of guy. Jose Budo, who spent a lot of time in the bullpen last season. You know, does he get another opportunity at being a starter? We'll see. Brandon Sprout, the Mets' top overall pitching prospect. From everything I've read, you know, he's fairly close to being a major leaguer. Does he get that opportunity? I wouldn't expect it, Brandon Sprout at all. Uh, if he had an outstanding spring, I still wouldn't expect him to start off on the big league roster. It seems like they have that minor league cutoff date where if they start on the big league roster, then you lose that year of control. But if they start after a certain date, then you don't lose that year of control, and it also saves you some cash. So there's a couple thoughts there in house. So looking at your pitching rotation right now, you have Sean Manaea, Kodai Senga. Senga coming off, missing basically a whole season last year. What's he going to look like? David Peterson, can he follow up last year's success this season? Let's hope. Clay Holmes, a lifetime bullpen guy, first chance of becoming a starter. What the hell is that going to look like? That's kind of exciting. Paul Blackburn, like I said, coming off an injury. We'll see when he starts, if he's going to start the season on the IL or not. Griffin Canning, uh, nothing really to write home about. Tyler McGill, who I thought had a decent season last year, didn't have a great season pitching, but there were flashes of Tyler McGill looking really, really good. And there are also some times after that he looked like the same old Tyler McGill. So, and Jose Budo seemed like he kind of ran out of gas at the end of the season last season, and uh, he started getting knocked around a good bit, and that played over into the playoffs as well. Getting knocked around, and it kind of affected how much we actually got to see him at the end of the season and into the playoffs. So I got a comment here. Hit Jonathan checking in. What's up, Jonathan? How you doing, buddy? He says, I'm a doom and gloomer Mets fan. What can you say to people like me to be more optimistic in 2025? I think, to be 100% honest with you, Jonathan, just look at 2024, right? I mean, 2024 is, to me, is the ultimate doom and gloom, right? Going into that last season, the Mets weren't spending the type of money they were spending in 2023. Selling all these pieces off in 2023, bringing in reclamation projects for the pitching staff, and and also depth pieces as well. Pretty much reclamation type guys that haven't had um, great recent success, that moderate success recently, and hoping that maybe you find a little bit of magic there, and and it took time. It took some time, and they caught magic. The pitching staff, like again, filled with a bunch of guys that were looking for a second chance, basically looking for another opportunity to kind of prove themselves that they can get back to what they used to be. Whether it was Sevi or Manaya or even Quintana, guys like that. David Peterson, you can even look at him. Yeah, is that type of guy as well. And losing Kodai Senga for the whole season, early on in spring training. I mean, doom and gloom, right there. It seems to be every year something happens with the pitching staff, right? So I just look at last season, Jonathan. Look at last season, and just know that even through the first 2 months, as crap as it looks, you know there's still a chance. There's still a chance you can catch fire, and just like last year, the Mets were the best team from May 30th, June 1st, on to the end of the season. They had the best record overall in baseball. So that was definitely a huge turnaround. And a lot of our guys didn't have great seasons either. I mean, to win those games, it was something that was special. Francisco Alvarez having a really really down year, so you had to have guys step up there like Luis Torrens and stuff. Jeff McNeil, another down year for him, and then getting injured when he started playing better. And you look at the OMG movement. What went on there. So with Jose Iglesias. So center field, the battle between Bader and Taylor. You look at right field again with with uh, uh, spacing on his name, but you know who getting hurt. I can't think of his name right now. I could picture him, but anyway, it's so many things went wrong last year, but then went right. Brandon Nimmo, started off really well last season, and then dealing with that plantar fasciitis, to his offensive output took a nosedive. Whether that's because of the plantar fasciitis, I'm not really sure, but it definitely affected him at the end of the season. So, um, uh, who the hell am I thinking of in right field? I can see him. It's killing me. But anyway, it's injuries happen. You just have to kind of take it with a grain of salt and hope that there's enough depth that the Mets can replace Frankie Montas, at least for the first third of the season, basically. He said, I've been a Mets fan since '84. The Mets twice had back-to-back playoff appearances in our history, 99 and 2000, 15 and 16. Well, hopefully it's 24 and 25. Hopefully. Um, and I've been a Mets fan basically since, you have to figure probably like 90. Me being born in 1980, I didn't, I was alive when the Mets won the '86 World Series, but I wasn't a Mets fan. I didn't watch baseball. I didn't really. I was playing with my He-Man and figurines and pretending I was a Thundercat. So, then 1990, so really started getting into sports. Really liking all kinds of sports, loving baseball. Becoming a Mets fan. My grandfather was a Mets fan, and became a big Hojo fan. I really liked Hojo, Howard Johnson, and then that bled into Todd Hundley, then David Wright, and so on and so on. So yeah, so I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of success, and I guess the way you can look at it, 99, 2000, there was a World Series appearance there, right? 2000, 15 and 16, there was a World Series appearance. What year was it? Was that 15? I think it was. Against KC, both losses to the Yankees and to the Royals. But now maybe this will be a World Series appearance for the Mets. So another way to kick that doom and gloom in the rear end. So and yeah, Kodai Senga, him going down early last year, that was a big shot. That was a big shot to the gut because the Mets were really leaning hard on him to be the ace of that staff, not knowing what we had throughout the rest of the staff, really leaning hard on him to have a to replicate what he did the season before. Where he was phenomenal after some early on struggles, getting it figured out and going to the 6-man rotation and making sure he gets enough time off in between starts. It really turned it around last year or back in 2023. Then losing him for the whole season, basically, where he came back for that one game against the Braves, pitched phenomenal for almost 6 innings. I think it was a 5 1/3 or 5 2/3 or whatever it was. It looked great, and then a calf strain. And then he's not back until playoffs, and pitching against the Phillies for that 1 inning, uh, a rough start, but finished strong, and then pitching against the Dodgers, not so good. Just lost, didn't have the command. So, but besides that, basically it was a lost season last year for Kodai Senga. So hopefully he comes back to what he was in 2023, and that's the best you can do. That's the best you can do is just hope. And so if there is nobody in house, you could always look outside as well. There was flirtations with Luis Castillo from the Mariners. There were flirtations with the Dylan Cease trade from San Diego. So I don't know if that stuff is still on the table or not. Um, what it would take to get those done, I'm not really sure. And again, this isn't a whole season thing for Frankie Montas. Either it's just it's a temporary, the third of the season, which is a long time, but you know, it's you just got to find I feel like a temporary fix. Yeah, unless they're really concerned about his injury history and then this injury in particular. Uh, I feel like if they do go out and make a trade for somebody like Luis Castillo or Dylan Cease, that tells me they're a lot more worried about Frankie Montas's injury than 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, that tells me they're very worried about it. Um, and also looking at free agents yet, there's still Jose Quintana out there. Very familiar with Jose Quintana. He pitched phenomenal last year after some struggles early on, like most of the Mets, and was phenomenal second half of the season, and pitched really really good in the playoffs as well. So Jose Quintana's out there, and maybe you can throw him a bone. Throw 1 year deal maybe. The only problem with that is where we're at with the Steve Cohen tax. So you bring him in for let's say $16 million or whatever. I don't know. I'm just throwing a price out there for $16 million. For every dollar spent, I think it was 110% tax or whatever. So I mean that turns into what 30. I don't know. I don't do math. Let's just say $35 million. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is. Uh, Math was not my strong suit in school. Strong suit was lunch. Lunch was my strong suit in school, and I did that very well. I did lunch well. So I kind of looking back on it, I feel bad for my dad all the times I snuck into his bedroom at night while he was while he was sleeping. And I was, stealing change out of his pocket so I can get double lunch on Fridays for macaroni and cheese day. Oh man, that macaroni and cheese at the school kicked butt. Kind of sit next to the skinny kids too, because I knew they wouldn't eat all their food. They wouldn't eat their fruit cup or whatever. Like, oh, you want a fruit cup, Fry? Oh, yeah, give me your fruit cup. Oh, Fry, you want my roll? Hell yeah, I want your roll. So that was my life in a nutshell. That's how high school went for me. My best subject was lunch. So, but there are options out there. Is what I'm getting at. There are options, viable options, realistic options, and and hopefully this isn't a whole season type of thing for Frankie Montas. Like I said, signed 2 years, $34 million. Be 100% honest with you, I would have rather them go 2 years, $34 million with Jose Quintana. But I guess I don't know. I think Frankie Montas. I think he's in his early 30s. Where you look at Jose Quintana, I think he's more mid to late 30s. So that could be uh, a reason why you didn't see something like that. But you know, dude has had a ton of quality starts for the Mets. So it's no reason to believe that wouldn't continue. Pardon my voice here. It's starting to get all scratchy on me and starting to piss me off. So that's where we're at with Frankie Montas. A bummer, and then there was no guarantee that he was going to be uh, great or good or whatever this season anyway. So it's kind of like all right, well, we took a chance, and so far it's bit us in the ass. Let's see what else we have, and then when he comes back, see what we got going on. All right. So moving on from Frankie Montas, I also talked about the rotation options. Like I said, you have Mania, Senga, Peterson, Clay Holmes. Then the one thing that makes me nervous about Clay Holmes is he's been a lifelong bullpen guy. Now becoming a starting pitcher, you just don't know what you're going to get. Um, we've seen recent success in the major leagues with other pitchers that were relief pitchers becoming starters. Trevor Williams, former Met. Uh, excuse me. Um, Another former Met whose name escapes me again. He was pitcher for the Royals. He had a great season last year. I believe he got some Cy Young votes as well. The hell was his name? Uh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm going to get Alpha Brain one of these days. I don't know if you ever watched Joe Rogan. Listen to his podcast or watch him on social media or YouTube or whatever, where he'll plug Alpha Brain. One of these days, I'm going to get Alpha Brain. I'm going to be like the smartest man alive. Unbelievable. Jonathan said Stephen Cohen said he will use AI to help with pitching and batting development. How can Mets push the envelope before it's considered cheating? Uh, I mean, the development's development. I mean, I don't know how you can look at any kind of development that's not chemically enhanced uh, as uh, as on the edge of cheating. I mean, it's AI is a tool. It's a tool out there for everybody to use, and I mean, as long as you're not using AI to to cheat, during games or whatever. I mean, I don't know what the hell the the extensiveness that AI has. Like, I don't know what kind of reach. I mean, I've seen a lot of AI videos online where, I mean, clearly it's AI. I mean, stuff doesn't match up, or I see a lot of times, AI generated Simpsons characters if they were real people. And I'm looking, I'm like, Jesus Christ, the guy's arm is on backwards. So I mean, I don't know what the extensiveness of AI is. Um, how exact it can be, but it's a tool. It's a tool that's available to everybody, and it's not chemically enhancing. It's just it's a developmental tool. To me, I would say no different than a batting tee or watching film. So AI powered sign stealing. I see that's when it would become cheating, when you're using it to bang on garbage cans or whatever, or who was it? Was it the Red Sox that had the something with the watches or cell phones or something? I don't remember what it was exactly, but uh, and that is something, as technology advances. That is something that is a concern for any sports league. To be honest with you, any sports league, as technology advances, and it's who knows, who's bugging who's locker room, or who knows, high powered, uh I don't want to say binoculars, high powered, I guess binoculars or telescope, or not even telescope. I don't know what, where you can see something far away, like super close up, like a coach is you know drawing plays up, and you're able to see it through a lens, and relay that to your coach, through one of those fancy tablets or iPads they have on the sidelines. With baseball, you see the pitchers a lot of times, covering their mouths up or whatever. Who knows, if you have like a you know Jesus, like under the mound, like some sort of high powered microphone or something like that, like professional wrestling where they have the microphones under the rings to enhance the sound and the noise to kind of make the impact sound greater than it actually is. Stuff like that. So who knows? Who knows? In the mound itself, high powered microphones or something. Um, but yeah, it's technology's out there for it now. I mean, even without AI, there's ways to do stuff to cheat and and whatnot. For me, the sign stealing uh, that I never considered cheating is when the runner's on second base and he's getting an eyeful of what the catcher's throwing down there. I never considered that cheating. I always considered that more of a gamesmanship. But when you're getting into intricate, like using electronics or using uh, somebody out in center field that's in the bullpen or whatever, catching catcher signs or signs from a coach, and then relaying it to another player through you know banging on a garbage can or a drum or whatever, or a series of taps or Morse code or whatever the hell. I guess that's what they would have done back in the 40s and 50s. Mickey Mantle using Morse code to steal signs or something. But like the stuff like that, I consider real true blue cheating. But when you're on second base and you're trying to sneak a peek at the catcher's signals, uh, I think that's almost to be expected. And as the defensive team, you know, that's why you see catchers, throw up so many different combination of signs, or you'll see a pitcher throw up a sign. They're going with the second or third set of signs that the catcher's going to throw up. So it's there's ways to combat it, and that's been going on, probably as long as baseball's been a thing. So uh, Jonathan says smart wearable devices with AI assistance. Yeah, technology is going to keep advancing, and who knows? And then this part scares the shit out of me. AI umpire manipulation, and that's scary. Like the whole umpire, like the whole robot umpire thing that they keep talking about. I mean, as frustrating as umpires can be, uh, baseball's not easy. Yeah, I feel like the NFL, basketball, um, hockey. I feel like for referees, they're probably a lot easier to call than what baseball is. For an umpire. I mean, like just having a ball hit at you, as a third base umpire, that's umping down the line, to have a ball hit at you at 120 mile an hour, or 100, well, maybe not 120, 110 mile an hour, or whatever, what have you, coming at you, you're jumping out of the way, and you're still expected to follow that ball, make sure it lands. Does it land on the line? Does it land in foul territory, fair territory, what have you? To make all those calls like that, or to as an umpire behind the plate, with the movement on pitches nowadays and the velocity that they're coming in at is insane. To be able to say that's between the knee and the chest, or whatever the hell their strike zone is nowadays, it seems to be so small. And it's inside outside, it's within the black. And to be able to call that in a split second is unbelievable. It is unbelievable, and that it scares me with robot umpires, that they're going to be so exact that you kind of lose that human element. And there's also that opportunity where it can be adjusted or manipulated, just like any kind of piece of machinery can. If you work with machinery, you know that there's ways to manipulate or adjust the machine to do what you want it to do. And and then upkeep and stuff like that. So that stuff makes me really nervous about the robot umpires, or the whatever they plan on doing or looking to do. So I'm not a big fan of that. And that's something I've talked about on here before, about not being a big fan of the robot umpires. And I just think it's too far. I like the human element with the umpire. Again, it is frustrating, and that's why we have challenges. So excuse me one second. All right. So Pete Alonso had his first presser since re-signing with the Mets. I didn't watch the full 20-minute press release. I heard snippets and stuff like that, and I read some of it online on the I don't know if it was the New York Post, if it was on their website or whatever it was. Excuse me. I apologize, but it was clear to me, and clear to mostly everybody else. Pete wanted to stay in New York. He wanted to be a Met. He wanted, he said it himself. He wanted to wear the orange and blue. There was no other um, place he would rather be. I mean, it's one of those things like, is that something that somebody just says because that's where they're at now, or is it, is he genuine? And I feel like he's genuine. Uh, but again, not knowing him personally or whatever, you don't know for sure. But I feel like he's genuine. I feel like there is no other place he'd rather play than New York with the Mets, to be a Met. Uh, I mean, he's been here his whole career. He's had some great moments with the Mets. Had some down moments with the Mets as well. And like you said, they're building on something, and it's something special. They have a great clubhouse, and just adding Juan Soto makes that lineup even more potent, and the potential is there for this to be one of the great all time lineups. And that's the one thing, a word you can toss around a lot, especially with the Mets. Looking back at last year's potential. You look at last year, there was the potential that there could be a very good pitching staff. There was the potential it could have been a very bad pitching staff. There was the potential that the bullpen was going to let us down night in and night out. Potential it wouldn't. So it's it's stuff like that. Potential is such a word that's used very loosely, and I myself I use it. I must have used that I think 50 times so far this episode, and I don't think I've ever said potential more in my life. Uh, so, but there's the potential that it could be a fantastic lineup, maybe one of the best lineups in Mets history. Uh, but again, they got to play the game, got to stay healthy. Uh, Pete also said it was a special place and special because of all the people. Again, referring back to the clubhouse, front offices, and what have you, coaching staff. He's looking forward also to breaking the home run record. That was a question that was asked of him, and obviously he's looking forward to breaking it. It would have been something if he was dead ass serious. Says no, I didn't think about that at all. I mean, he did basically say that, no, that thought hasn't crossed my mind, but he was joking, started laughing and stuff. Like everybody started laughing. But if he was deadpan serious, I think that would have been funnier, to be honest with you. That would have that would have been a kicker. Because the man is, you know, has called himself, the best home run hitter in baseball, and his Super Bowl is the home run derby. So the man likes to hit the long ball. Excuse me. But so like, right now he's 27 behind Strawberry. Pete's sitting at 226. Straw sitting at 252. David Wright's in the middle there, 242. So Pete, as long as he stays healthy, should pass that out. And hopefully, if Pete's able to pass that out by the All-Star break, that means Pete's having a really good season. So looking at Pete's stats, Pete again, before I get into the stats, Pete also said that he didn't expect a mega long contract due to his struggles in back-to-back seasons, having back-to-back down years. And my first thought was, back-to-back down years, like what are you talking about? The season before you had uh, 46 home runs, 118 RBI, but also he hit 217. And for a guy, it hit I think 261. I think the year before in 2022, his rookie season, I think he was at 269 or 270. The only season that he's had where he hit lower than 260 before 2023 was the COVID season. So 2019 he hit over 260, 2021 over 260, 2022 over 260, and now the last two seasons has been down, batting average wise, and slowly, from 23 to 24, he's kind of crept up a little bit. He had 217 in 23, 240 in 24. On base percentage in 23, 318, 329 in 24. He had more walks in 2024. He also had played more games, so he had more at bats. But his on base percentage was down. or his slugging percentage was down. I'm sorry, his slug was down. So fairly significant. He slugged for 504 in 2023 and 459 in 2024, which led to a lower OPS. And before 2022 or before 2023, he didn't have an OPS anywhere any lower than I think it was 870. In 2023, his OPS was 821, and in 2024 it was 788. So that's a hell of a decline there. So hopefully he can turn it around, relax at the plate a little bit, and start doing what we've seen him do in the past. In 19, 21, and 22 is take that outside pitch to right field, and take the hits, take the singles and take the doubles, and start using that opposite field power, and I think we'll see the old Pete again. So, but I thought it was fairly interesting saying that he didn't expect a mega long deal due to his back-to-back down years. So again, it was a 20-minute press conference. I didn't watch all of it. I do know that they asked him about if he regretted not taking the long-term deal that the Mets offered him in 2023, and yeah, I think it was 2023. And him basically saying, he's bet on himself his whole life. Whether it was high school, college, minor leagues, major leagues, he's always bet on himself. And he's going to continue to bet on himself, and that's that every athlete is probably going to say that. So if I was Pete, I'd bet on myself too. I'm not Pete. I do not bet on myself. So I do not like to lose, and I lose a lot. So all right. So moving on from there, we had Steve Cohen talking with Howie Rose on the Mets podcast, and again, it basically just talking about uh, the contract talks with Pete, how he felt they went, and his frustrations with it, and what basically was the breaking point. We got Jonathan commenting here. He said, "I'm happy Pete Alonso is back, but why can't he lose some weight and get better? We are going to do this again next year." I mean, I don't know if weight's the issue. He is a bigger dude. He's a thick dude, but I mean, you look at Jim Thome, right? Jim Thome. When I see Pete, I think Jim Thome. I think Jim Thome is probably much bigger, but he was always a big, thick dude, and sometimes that's just how they're built. It's just they're not meant to be lean, slender, athletic looking, and that's just where it's at. And I don't remember what kind of first baseman Jim Thome was, but I do remember what kind of slugger Jim Thome was. Whether it was with the Indians back when they were the Indians, or with the Phillies, the dude could hit. The dude could straight up hit for power, and and his average wasn't bad. I don't know what his average is offhand, but I know he didn't really hit. His batting average usually wasn't very low. So if I had to guess, I would say probably 260s and above, but I could be wrong there. Um, but yeah, I don't know how much his weight factors in. I mean, again, you watch Pete run the bases. I mean, there's how many times where it's a bit of a surprise where he's on first base. There's a ball hit in the gap, and he's scoring from first base. That's impressive. It really is impressive. You don't look at Pete and think of speedster, but it seems like he runs well. He runs the bases well, and he's durable. You know, played 162 last year, 154 the year before, and I've said it on here so many different times. He's never going to be a Gold Glove first baseman, but I do think his play at first base is much better than he gets credit for. Uh, a lot of people talk about uh, Vlad Guerrero in Toronto. Being a potential free agent next year, the Mets should sign Vlad Guerrero and let Pete walk. Because of the age and stuff. Vlad Guerrero is a terrible first baseman. Led the league in errors last year at first base. And I for some reason, I want to say he had 20, 23, but that could be wrong. I don't know. It seems like a lot, but I mean, he led the whole league in errors in first, but you don't hear that at all. But with Pete, that's usually the first thing that they bring up. You know, he's a terrible first baseman, unathletic, and strikes out. And I would argue the first two. The third one I can't argue. He struck out 170 plus times last year, which was second only to his rookie season. So where I think he struck out close to 190, but I no, I think it was around 190. So I do think Pete's athletic. It's just that he doesn't look athletic. The stuff that he doesn't look athletic, and I think he moves well. I think he's a better first baseman than he gets credit for. So not a great first baseman by any stretch. I'll never say he's a great first baseman. I think he's a decent first baseman. So I mean, I like the whole thing with Pete not signing this year. A lot of people pointing, let's move Mark Vientos over there. I don't know if people thought that Mark Vientos would have been a step up from Pete Alonso at first base, but he wouldn't have been. I don't know why people would think that. Guys never played that position before. If he did, it was very little. You know, why you'd think he'd be a step up from a guy that's played there, for many many years. It wouldn't be. So. He also said, I also saw Pete Alonso tag up at third base and get thrown out at home. We lost 1-0 versus the Cubs in May of 2024. And that happens a lot though. That happens to even guys that are fast. It depends on who's in the outfield and the arm and what kind of jump they get. It's not really a knock on his weight, or now it could be a knock on his speed, obviously, but you see it every you could see every day. When there's baseball games, you're going to see guys thrown out. They hit the cutoff man too. I can't defend that. Then I can't defend that. But I've also seen him score from first base to a ball in the gap. So score from first and make a good slide at home and I would think more often than not I would see that than him getting thrown out at home from third. And for some reason I feel like I could picture that play in my head too, but I'm not sure because I can picture him tagging up almost a stutter a little bit, like a stutter step, and then go like leave a little bit late and just getting thrown out of home. But I don't know if I'm just making that if I'm having AI in my head and just making it up or not. uh, so yeah, so back to Cohen. Steve Cohen said he always wanted Pete back. Pete's a big fan favorite. They really they love Pete. In the blue and orange, and he said he flew down to Tampa to meet with Pete because he felt like he wanted to meet Pete face to face to let Pete know how the organization felt about him. Really let him know how they felt about him. He wasn't sure like what was really getting through to Pete, uh, what was and what wasn't. If you're speaking to Pete through an agent, who knows what the agent's telling him. Who knows what kind of information the agent is withholding as well. The agent, he's making money off of base what kind of contract that these guys are going to get that these guys are going to sign. So why would he not want to try to push for more money? Maybe withholding you know and I love you somewhere. Like, oh, he didn't say that. It's stuff like that. You don't know. It's people are human. So stuff like that. So you flew down there and out of respect, met with Pete face to face, let him know all that good stuff. We like you and we want you to be with the Mets and whatnot. And like a teenager asking a girl to the prom, holding up the sign, will you go to homecoming with me or will you go to prom with me or what have you? I just picture Steve Cohen and David Stearns out there with the sign. Will you come back to this season on a short term deal, please? So I don't know if it happened that way, but maybe it did. I don't know. Uh, but one thing that was interesting and it kind of surprised Steve Cohen also is that the meeting that they had, Scott Boras just sat there. Didn't say really a word, and it was just Pete did most of the talking and let his intentions be known and his thoughts and where his his potential frustrations were and his want to be back in New York and whatnot. So it sounded like it was obviously they got a deal done, but it sounded like it was the right thing to do. It was a smart move by Cohen and Stearns and like Batman and Robin. They saw the bat signal in the sky and they headed down to Tampa. So reignited the talks and got the deal done. So that was great to see. So yeah, uh, we got spring training in full swing here. Uh, you know, everybody's there, everybody's reported, and uh, and games will be starting this Saturday. So that's exciting stuff. I was looking at the schedule. 'Cause I wasn't sure if the game started this week or next week, and it says this Saturday. The 22nd games will be starting. The Mets will be going. We'll be playing against Houston, and first season starts on March 27th, and they'll be going to Houston. So spring training games start off with Houston, and so does the regular season. So exciting stuff. We're slowly creeping towards spring, and I can't freaking wait. And it is exciting. I'm excited for this season. I'm excited to see what the Mets are going to bring to the table offensively. I'm excited to see what these younger guys how they can turn it around from what happened last season. Because again, I talked about this earlier in the show. Francisco Alvarez, can he turn it around? Can he become the player that we all know he can be? All the scouts know or thought he could be. Can he become that player? Brandon Nimmo, can he stay healthy this year? And can he get a full season of what the first half of the season looked like last year? Can we get a full season of that Brandon Nimmo? Mark Vientos, is he able to follow up last season? With a a similar season or even greater season. That's another thing to look at. It's hard to expect him to follow it up with the same exact type of season or even better, but something close. That's all you're looking for really out of him. And that'll let you know that we really have something cooking here with him because it's so hard to determine how a career is gonna lay out after just one season. It's Mark Vientos looked great last season. He was clutch. He was awesome. But how does he follow that up? If he can get back to back seasons of kick assery, you know, I feel like there's gonna be many years of some great Mark Vientos moments. So excited for that. Uh, Jeff McNeil down here is he gonna be able to bounce back? If not, time to move on from Jeff McNeil. Perhaps I know a lot of fans lean that way. Um, myself, depends on which way the wind's blowing. There's some days where I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to move on from Jeff McNeil. Then there's days I'm like, you know what, there is, that batting champ that's still in there. It's still in there somewhere. Just gotta get it out. And the Mets owe him a lot of money yet. So, but we have a lot of young guys, you know, pushing to come up. Chet Williams, Luis Angel Acuna, Ronnie Mauricio. When is he going to be available? Uh, you know, even for the minor leagues, is he? I assume he's going to start in AAA. Ronnie Mauricio, just because he was so far behind on his rehab with his knee, so I wouldn't expect him to make the big league roster. And so my eyes look at Luis Angel Acuna, Brett Beatty, and Jet Williams. I feel like one of those guys are going to make the big league roster, at least one of them. And which one is it going to be? I'm excited to see. It's going to be one of them. I have no doubt. I know Jose Iglesias. He did an interview with. I feel it was a New York Post. I can't remember who it was exactly. And expressing his desire and want to return to Queens, but uh, it's I don't know if that's just in the cards. It doesn't seem like it is, but who knows? You get through the first week or two of spring training, injuries happen, and we could have the OMG part two here, OMG 2.0. Jonathan says, I'm not happy about Jose Siri, his antics, too childish. I don't know a whole lot about Jose Siri, to be honest with you, Jonathan. I know, besides stats wise, got pop, but besides that, not a whole lot else. I believe I read he's a really good center fielder, so there's that. But me personally, I would have rather them gone young. You have Tyrone Taylor out there. Stick with him, and then bring up a young guy to kind of platoon there. And eventually, throughout the season, hopefully that younger guy takes that job away from Tyrone Taylor, and that's what we have. But instead we want a Jose Siri, and it is what it is. I know he had 32 home runs I think last season, but yeah, I think he also hit like 201 or something. I don't know what the hell it was, but it was bad. It wasn't very good. Excuse me. Jonathan also says, can the Mets buy Jeff McNeil golf clubs for batting? And I'll tell you what, last year, that's one of the things that really got under my skin was the amount of golf talk from Jeff McNeil, on road trips and stuff like that, when he's playing like absolute trash. It's like maybe get your ass in the batting cage a little bit more, or what have you, or you figure some shit out here. Um, than spending time on the links. But if golf gloves help, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, or if you replace his uh his spikes with golf spikes, maybe that's it. Just the feel, the feet and stuff, and um, it reminds me of the movie Major League when Serrano goes over to Roger Dorn. Dorn has his golf club sitting there. Oh, the movie kills me, and he takes off one of the covers off the golf club, and Dorn asks him what his handicap is, and yo, he goes, hats for bats, keep bats warm. And Dorn's like, yo, amigo, you just can't. And Serrano looks back at him and goes, gracias, in his deep voice. And the Dorn's like, you betcha. And then he goes running around his bed and stuff like that. And he's kind of peeking around because he's scared. Hilarious. What a great movie, man. I just love that movie. And part two. I thought part two was really good. Back to the Minors. That was part three. That one sucked ass. I think I only seen it once. I didn't dig it. Scott Bakula and stuff like that. I think Dorn was in that movie as well. But part one was phenomenal. Part two was decent as well. But but yeah, it's that whole the golf thing. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe get some of those golf slip covers that go over the golf heads. Maybe throw a couple of them on his bats, and maybe some golf shoes and golf gloves, and Jeff McNeil's swatting the ball all over the place again. Who knows? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I'm down for it. Hats for bats. What's your handicap? Keep bats warm. That's fantastic. All right, so that's all I have for today. Real quick before I get out of here, I got a couple things for you. Um, if you want to help me out, I appreciate it very much. If not, no big deal. But check out a great product from W Energy Drink at www.w.gg. Use my promo code The Batcave. It's all one word for 10% off your order. It's a jitterless energy drink made from coffee fruit extract, all natural flavors, no food colorings or anything like that added to it. Currently, right now, I'm drinking the dragon fruit strawberry lemonade mix. And so you hear those flavors, you would imagine it's probably going to be red, right? No, it's not. It's a white from the powder, and that's it. There's no artificial coloring to it or anything like that. So none of that nasty stuff you're putting in your body. If you're going to put artificial coloring in your body, make sure it's like from a cookie or a candy bar or something. That's where I go with. So I'm not one to stray away from artificial colorings or food additives or anything like that. But W Energy drink, they stray away from it, and they make a hell of a product. I dig it. I drink it. I use that. Basically, I use that as a dietary supplement as well. I've been on a weight loss thing here, trying to push towards 100 pounds lost by March. So I'm almost there. I'm about 6 pounds away, but I've been struggling. So I've been using it as a dietary supplement. So when I'm hungry, usually early evening before dinner time, I'll have one of the W Energy drinks. Again, it's jitterless, and it also fills me up a little bit. So I use it like that. And the instructions on the back do say that it is a dietary supplement. So there we go. But yeah, try it out. If you're not sure, you're like, I don't know if I want to buy a full tub for whatever. I think they're like 30 or 40 bucks. They have sampler packs for much cheaper. You can get a shaker with it, and I highly recommend it. They also have hydro packs for hydration and stuff like that. So if you're not a big fan of Gatorade or Powerade or any of those other aids, check out Dubby's hydro packs, hydration packs. They're really good. Also, I bought a sampler pack of that and a shaker, and I thought they were phenomenal. So good stuff there. So check them out at www.w.gg. And once again, use my promo code The Batcave. It's all one word. And if you do buy some, let me know your thoughts on it. I'd like to hear some feedback, just to see how you liked it, what flavor you got, and all that good stuff. Uh, Check us out at OOT Box Sports on YouTube and X. Give us a follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Be very much appreciated. My YouTube channel is the Batcave _OOTBSE. I'd appreciate if you followed that and subscribe to that channel. You're going to find all my content there. If you follow the Out of the Box Sports YouTube channel, OOT Box Sports, you'll find all of the Out of the Box Sports content. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, Washington Commanders, the Mets. I do the LA Kings, the Raiders, wrestling. We have 2 wrestling podcasts with a third on the way. So an NFL weekly NFL talk podcast that'll be kicking off tomorrow night. So I'll be sure to check that out as well. Good stuff. But on my YouTube channel, I'm going to be doing some different things. I'm going to start doing some different type of non-sports related content and see if I can become a millionaire that way, like the kids do. My kids watch on YouTube. Those kids are millionaires. How the hell do they do it? I can be goofy. I got another comment here. Jonathan saying, thanks, Kenny. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it very much. You made my job much easier with all your comments and questions. I appreciate it. The more the comments, the better. I read every comment that's put out there, and it adds to conversation. It's easier to talk to somebody than to myself. And even though I can't see Jonathan, I am talking to Jonathan. So that kicks ass, and I appreciate it very much. And so for Out of the Box Sports, be sure to check out our sponsor, Big Al, Jason Fine. Jay Fine Law. You can reach him at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and falls, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And he has 2 offices located in Pennsylvania, one on the east side and one on the west side. The one on the west side is in Pittsburgh, located at 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And the one on the east side is located in Philadelphia, located at 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. And the phone number there is 267-888-2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. Excuse me. So real quick, is our schedule for the rest of the week here. We got Dem 215 boys talking Dallas Cowboys football tonight at 9:30 p.m. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. around the NFL. If you're looking at the schedule here with me right now, it says tomorrow morning, Silver and Black Lair Kings. That is not tomorrow morning. That will be Friday afternoon. I will have special guests with me Connor Doyle, co-editor of the Hockey News, LA Kings. So he'll be on with me Friday at noon, and we'll be talking Kings as the Four Nations wraps up. I think tomorrow night is the final, the championship, the United States against Canada. And then games, NHL games start back up. The Kings start back up Saturday night. So I'll be talking Friday afternoon with Connor Doyle from the Hockey News. Super excited about that. Lord of the Rings podcast. He's also a host there. So I'm super excited to be talking to him here. And he'll be the third person I ever interviewed. I interviewed Frank the Tank. Yes, that Frank the Tank. That was, I guess, 2 years ago, and it didn't go so well. Um, and I blame that on myself. There wasn't anything Frank did. I think I was just a shitty interviewer. And I also interviewed indie wrestling promoter Antonio Loginger. I interviewed him last year, and I thought that was a very good interview. So I'm hoping for nothing but great stuff here from Connor. Hopefully, I give him some great questions and topics that we can talk about, and put out a great show on Friday afternoon. So, all right. So for the Bat Cave, I will return again next Wednesday. So be sure to check that out. And only one thing left to say, right? Let's go Mets. See you later.